Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon to vote for a build you'd like redeemed from a previous poll, and like and subscribe for better adaptations next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Victor Von Doom, who overwhelmingly won the last redemption poll, and honestly, I don't really know why. I've seen the Fantastic Four movies, and he's either a whiny billionaire who's dumber than Mr. Fantastic and mad about it, or some dorky nerd who's simping for space goo and looks like a crash test dummy. Actually, those are pretty different things. I should probably check out the comics to see what would be most accurate. So it turns out Dr. Doom is actually a dude who single-handedly conquered an entire country to avenge his mom, taught himself sorcery at a level akin to Doctor Strange, bargained with the devil, attacked Asgard, killed Odin, and stole his powers. Notably cooler. But if there hasn't been a solid filmed version of Dr. Doom, where should I pull footage from? Yes, I'm using the Lego game for footage. It's the most accurate Dr. Doom. At least he's in Latveria in this game. Believe me, I'm also not happy with it. I love Dr. Doom and wish there were a good place for me to pull footage from, but there isn't. I'm not good enough at Marvel vs. Capcom. I'm sorry. Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need to make peace with the fact that Dr. Doom is a busy boy. Could he be an artificer? Yeah. A wizard? Sure thing. Fighter? Yep. Monk? Probably. Heck, he could even be a warlock. But we're gonna have to focus on getting some specific Doom things. First, we need to be as metal as our name, which is Dr. Doom, which is pretty metal. Next, we need supreme sorcery. That means sorcery with all the toppings: flight, peppers, olives, pepperoni, and Latverian sausage, which is actually a sweetmeat. Fun fact. Finally, no man is an army, but if you're gonna conquer the globe, you'll need your own army of Dr. Robotniks. Actually, that name sounds dumb. What does he call his robot henchmen? Doombots? Never mind, Robotniks is not that bad of a name. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want. Generally, it makes them higher, so if you're trying to power build the God-Man, you might want to do that. Charisma will be number 1. Latveria likes you and the rest of the world fears you. Wakanda and Atlantis included, not just the weak stuff like America. Intelligence next. It helps to know the names of the gods you're attacking heaven to dethrone. Not actually, but at least you can politely introduce yourself before committing deicide. Follow that up with Constitution. Perseverance might be your actual superpower, or at least it's the path to the rest of your superpowers. Strength after that, you go toe-to-toe with Ben Grimm, and his toes are made of rocks. Dexterity is a bit low. Sure, you're good at hand-to-hand combat, but stealth isn't necessary when you can just destroy any would-be challengers. Finally, we'll dump wisdom. If there's anything that's going to stop you from conquering the universe, it's that you have the hubris to try and conquer the universe. Victor is a human. Variant humans get feats. Feats are good, so we'll grab the Inspiring Leader feat, letting you give up to 6 creatures temporary HP equal to your level plus your charisma modifier after a rousing 10-minute speech. Latveria good, Avengers bad, kill Hawkeye, Avengers get sad. That was close to 10 minutes, right? Bump your charisma and constitution with your 2 free points, take athletics for your skill of choice, and the sage background for arcana and history. Your mother didn't raise a dummy, she raised a doomie. We'll kick things off as a sorcerer, letting us grab 2 skills from the sorcerer list, like religion and intimidation, so you'll recognize the god you made pee their pants. Feel like most gods wear robes more often though, which would probably be better for that. Why am I talking about this? The reason I chose sorcerer is the subclass that works best for Victor is in sorcerer. Sure, warlock would make sense since Mephisto and you are buddies. And wizard would work since you study your magic, but Fiend Lock wouldn't give you stuff I consider very Doom-esque, and Evocation and War Magic are kind of just basic give this to the wizard when you don't know what else to give them subclasses. Clockwork Soul Sorcerers are currently in Unearthed Arcana, and I kind of forgot about it until XP to level 3 made a video reminding me it exists, and it's kind of busted. It's okay, we can disagree about stuff and still be civil when we bump into each other at cons. When we can go to cons again. God, I'm sad. Clockwork Sorcerers like robotic stuff. It's like steampunk magic, which I think fits your metal mystic aesthetic. You get to restore balance, turning a roll with advantage or disadvantage into a neutral roll an amount of times per day equal to your charisma modifier. It's more fun to beat someone when you're both fighting fair. For your spells, Shocking Grasp is a melee spell attack that deals 1d8 lightning damage and prevents the target from taking reactions for a round for some sparkle fingers. Lightning Lure forces a strength saving throw of 8 plus your proficiency bonus and charisma modifier modifier on a creature. Failing that, they're pulled 10 feet closer to you and take 1d6 lightning damage. You know the old saying, keep your friends close and your enemies electrocuted. Light creates a light to help you see with your dumb human eyes, and Thunderclap forces a Constitution saving throw on creatures within 5 feet of you, dealing a d6 of thunder damage to those that fail if you want a little shockwave. If you want a big shockwave, Thunder Wave forces a Constitution saving throw on creatures in a 15-foot cube in front of you, dealing 2d8 thunder damage to those that fail and pushing them back 10 feet. If they pass, they take half damage and aren't pushed, but it's nice to have an AoE when you're the solo villain of a group that explicitly has 4 members. If you'd rather focus your fire on one of them, Witch Bolt is a ranged spell attack that deals 1d12 lightning damage and stays up for up to a minute depending on your concentration, meaning that as long as you stay within range, you don't have to re-roll the attack on following turns, you can just stay connected to Sue, even if that connection is harmed by the whole zappy business. Quick relationship tip, don't throw lightning bolts at the people you want to date, they're not gonna like it. Second level sorcerers get a Font of Magic with sorcery points you can use to recover spell slots, so even if you're not prepared, you still kind of can be prepared. For this level spell, jump triples a target's jump distance for a minute. I know it's not exciting, but if we can't give the guy a capped strength modifier, we might as well let him jump like he has one. Third level sorcerers get Meta Magic, giving you some options for you to augment your spells with sorcery points. Heightened Spell gives a creature disadvantage on a saving throw against a spell you cast if you really want to watch rubber melt. Empowered Spell lets you reroll an amount of damage die equal to your charisma modifier for a spell, which can be pretty useful with some of the stuff we're going to get later. You can also learn second level spells here like Hold Person, a very useful form of telekinesis that paralyzes a target failing a wisdom saving throw for a minute. Since every attack against a paralyzed target from melee range is a crit, that means Shocking Grasp is going to be dealing some serious damage. Fourth level sorcerers get an ability score improvement, and what do you give the man who should be good at everything? How about charisma, since it's the most useful thing we can give to you right now for harder to resist spell saves. It'll even help spells like Levitate, which lifts an object weighing 500 pounds or less and moves it around in the air 20 feet at a time using your action. If that object is a creature that doesn't want to ride on the Doom Express, they can make a Constitution saving throw to resist, but the public transportation is really solid in Latveria, so they probably would be cool with it. Fifth level sorcerers can learn third level spells, and Lightning Bolt is great for a dude who throws lightning bolts. It forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 100-foot line, dealing 8d6 lightning damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. Paralyzed targets automatically fail dexterity saving throws, so hold them still before you light them up for some guaranteed big damage. I mean, technically it's not guaranteed. You could deal as little as 8 damage with this spell, but that's really unlikely. Since you're a clockwork sorcerer, you can also learn Counterspell for free to shut down spells of 3rd level or lower automatically, and higher level spells with a charisma check of 10 plus the spell's level. Check out the Unearthed Arcana with this subclass. There's a bunch of free spells. I just want to make this video a watchable length, and not all of them are directly Dr. Doom. 6th level clockwork sorcerers become a Bulwark of Law, letting you spend up to 5 sorcery points to give a creature of your choice 5d8s worth of warding, 1d8 for every point you spend. This lets them reduce incoming damage by that amount. Johnny is literally as hot as the sun, and spoilers if you haven't seen the Human Torch video can ignore resistances. This is the only way to calm that down. We'll get something to push that further later, but for now, flying is cool. And the spell Fly lets you fly 60 feet for 10 minutes. This should at least help you deal with the thing. He is not really great at getting airborne. We'll bounce over to Artificer. Maybe starting here would be good, but I wanted to fly and shoot lightning first. Just decide what you want to prioritize at home, damage or defense. Kicking things off here, Magical Tinkering lets you make a tiny, non-magical object do some magical stuff, like make a little smell or a sound or record a message. I'm pretty sure if you can navigate interdimensional travel, you can set up a voicemail. You get some cantrips and spells. We're going to focus on flat spells that don't require your intelligence modifier, because even though you're not dumb, we're just going to focus more on charisma. So grab Mending to fix a small crack in something, or put 2 pieces of something back together in case you need to weld, and Mage Hand lets you lift objects weighing 10 pounds or less with a floating spectral hand for a little telekinesis that doesn't use spell slots. For this level's spells, Featherfall removes falling damage for up to 5 falling creatures. Mostly use it when something breaks your concentration while you're flying, but you could also use it to keep other villains you're teaming up with safe. Generally, you don't like to work with other villains, but as long as they understand that they're working for Latveria, you could drum up a group of mercs. Absorb Elements lets you give yourself resistance to a type of damage as a reaction, and add a d6 of that damage type to your next melee attack. It doesn't specify that this is a melee weapon attack, so Shocking Grasp can deal fire damage after the Human Torch tries to torch you. Multiclassing spellcasters isn't too stressful. Artificers count as half-casters like Rangers or Paladins. Check page 165 of the player's handbook to figure out how many spells you have at any given 1 level. Second level Artificers get infusions, special ways to use your big brain to make you better than other people. Enhanced defense adds 1 to the AC of a shield or set of armor. We'll be using armor very soon, don't worry. But if you don't want that, enhanced arcane focus adds 1 to the attack rolls of spell attacks, and they ignore half cover for a better lightning. Mind Sharpener is from the same Unearthed Arcana that the Armorer Artificer is from, which hopefully your DM is cool with for some later stuff, but this lets you succeed on concentration checks as a reaction, so you don't have to worry about dropping down from the big heights. Finally, Enhanced Weapon adds 1 to the attack and damage rolls of a weapon, and it's now magical in terms of overcoming resistances. You're able to kill with anything, even if you just generally get close enough to choke people to death with your bare hands, or metal hands. Speaking of that, third level Artificers can choose a specialty, and Armorers get Power Armor, letting you ignore strength requirements of a set of armor, and you're proficient with heavy armor. You can choose an armor model. We've talked about the big heavy Guardian armor before, but I think Infiltrator suits you better, no pun intended. This increases your movement speed by 5 feet, you can ignore stealth disadvantage you'd normally get from plate mail, and you can make a ranged attack that deals 1d6 lightning damage, adding 1d6 lightning damage to that once per turn, which makes more sense later once we get an extra attack, but right now 2d6 plus your intelligence modifier with a ranged weapon is not bad. You also learn some extra spells like Shield, which adds 5 to your AC as a reaction, and Magic Missile, which shoots 3 darts that deal 1d4 plus 1 force damage and automatically hit if you want to keep yourself safe and consistently hit people who try to bend out of your hits. Fourth level Artificers get another ability score improvement. Cap your Charisma first. That is our primary casting modifier for things like Counterspell and Lightning Bolt. 5th level Armorers get an extra attack, letting you shoot 2 of those weird armor lightning blasts per turn instead of 1 with your action, or you could use any other weapon you find if you'd rather do that. You can figure out how to use anything. It's a sword, just stab people. It's not hard. You also learn 2nd level Artificer spells. Enhance ability lets you give a creature advantage on skill checks of a certain type. If you choose strength, they also double their carrying capacity. If you choose dexterity, they don't take falling damage from heights of 20 feet or less. And if you choose constitution, they get 2d6 temporary HP. If you're gonna be single-handedly overthrowing the government, you gotta be flexible, but not like Reed. You're better than him. 6th level Artificers get Tool Expertise, giving you expertise with tools you're proficient with. Smith's tools you get for free with Armorer. Thieves' tools and Tinkerers from Artificer would also work. You're quite the inventor. You also get 2 more infusions. Resistant Armor lets you give an armor resistance to acid, cold, fire, force, lightning, necrotic, poison, psychic, radiant, or thunder damage. You'll know which one you need better than I do, because I'm not your DM. Unless I am your DM. Then pick fire. The primordial god of fire is mad at your party and you're going to fight them and a big fire dragon in the next session whenever quarantine ends, so I miss playing D&D, folks. Goggles of Night give you dark vision if you don't want to cast light to see in the dark and alert everyone to your position. Back over to Sorcerer now. 7th level Sorcerers get 4th level spells. Dimension Door lets you teleport 500 feet as an action if you need to retreat. Did I say retreat? I meant regroup. You'd never surrender to someone as pathetic as Reed Richards. 8th level Sorcerers get another ability score improvement or a feat. Let's take the Tough feat for 2 HP for every level you have and every level you get. Sorcerer hit die are bad and you need to be able to hold your own against all those dumb heroes who don't want you to be God King of the Universe. You'd be so good at it. For this level spell, Protection from Energy lets you give a creature resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage for an hour. Pair this with resistant armor and you can be ready for anything. Well, you can be ready for 2 things, but that's still good. 9th level Sorcerers can learn 5th level spells. Hold Monster is like Hold Person without the humanoid restriction, which will help you deal with whatever plesiosaur monster horrible thing Namor is storing in Atlantis. Actually, you've got lightning, just zap the water. I've seen Pokemon, I know that works. For Doombots, I thought about Battlesmith Artificer, but that only makes 1 bot. Necromancy also didn't feel right since you're not making bots out of people. Ideally, we'd want to animate multiple objects, so I actually recommend the spell Animate Objects, which you get for free as a Clockwork Sorcerer at this level. This lets you animate 5 medium-sized bots or 10 small-sized bots if you'd rather have halfling robo-soldiers. There's a whole chart for the sizes and stats with the spell in the player's handbook. This is kind of a spell that could take up a full video, but if you want soldiers that were never corpses, this is the way to do it. Marvel Zombies sounds kinda stupid. 10th level Sorcerers can learn another meta magic option. Extended Spell doubles the spell's duration, helping you keep your bots active or keep yourself flying. For this level spell, Telekinesis lets you lift objects weighing 1,000 pounds or less with your brain for a minute. You can concentrate on 1 object at a time or lift a creature that's huge or smaller, contesting your charisma with their strength, so maybe don't try it on the thing. But Sue should be pretty easy to lift. though she also probably has this spell and would do it to you, and then you'd have two people just holding each other in the air. Maybe it's not a good idea. She has her family with her, and you've just sort of got animated objects that you also can't have up at the same time as telekinesis because it's concentration. Yeah, just scrap that idea. 11th level sorcerers can learn 6th level spells. Chain lightning forces a dexterity saving throw on a creature within 150 feet of you, and 3 creatures within 30 feet of them, dealing 10d8 lightning damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. It's convenient that this hits 4 people, so you can hit Reed, Johnny, Mark, and Lisa. Wait, those are characters from The Room. My bad. 12th level sorcerers get our last ability score improvement. I'm thinking Constitution. Other than our little lightning attacks, we're not using intelligence for a lot, and if you want lightning damage without casting, your cantrips should have you covered pretty well. The Artificer investment was really just for the heavy armor. 13th level sorcerers can learn 7th level spells, and if you want to be knocking on heaven's door, you need to plane shift to get there, sending you and 8 friends to another plane of your choice, or you could send a creature that you don't like to hang out with your pal Mephisto if they fail a charisma save after you hit them with a melee spell attack. Heaven and Hell are only an action away, and one of your higher level slots, but you do have an 8th and 9th level slot if you want to use them by the end of the build. Our capstone is the 14th level of Clockwork Sorcerer for Trance of Order, letting you tap into the Odin Force for a minute per long rest, or until you spend 5 sorcery points. While this is active, nobody can get advantage on attack rolls against you, and the lowest you can roll on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw is a 10. Some people might describe this as busted, or so powerful it exemplifies why people don't allow Unearthed Arcana in their game. But to those people, I say, we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, you're a capped off caster with 9th level spell slots and a variety of spells to zap or trap your enemies. You've also got a decent amount of bulk on you, at least as far as sorcerers go, with 19 AC, 24 with a shield spell, and around 180 HP to keep your reign from ending early. Finally, your mobility isn't even restricted to the material plane, with flying spells and the ability to travel to other dimensions. For weaknesses, I don't know, I guess you got low wisdom. Your hubris could be an issue for hold person spells that the Invisible Woman is sure to be throwing out frequently. You also have an abundance of concentration spells, and even if you've got something that makes those pretty easy to pass, you still need to pick and choose what you're using. Finally, low dexterity will be an issue if you're fighting maybe like a sorcerer who casts a lot of fire spells and ignores resistances from your armor. But what are the odds that the enemy team is going to have someone who can hold you still and another person who can cook you? You're a god among men and a man among gods, and the doctor of all things do me. Just hope that the enemy team doesn't have anybody smart enough to figure out your weaknesses, otherwise you might not be so fantastic for very long. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 videos every week. Join the Patreon to vote in the redemption poll. This week, your options are Gorilla Grodd from The Flash, Pearl from Steven Universe, Nezuko from Demon Slayer, or Shovel Knight from Smash Bros. He's an assist trophy. He's also from the game Shovel Knight.